Gentlemen, welcome to another Zath chat. For those of you guys who don't know what this means, this is me talking about something going on with the game, something to help you out, or maybe it's something that's controversial. In this case, today we're going to look at something that's controversial. Chat, later this will go on YouTube, hopefully. Please put any comments you would like in the chat there. I'd very much like to be able to see what you guys think about the situation, and those of you that are in voice with me right now, by all means, feel free to join in and talk about this. So, I was asked by Taras Bulba if what I think about this idea that the game is dying. Me. So, here's my honest truth. One is, yes, the game is dying. Why do I say that? Because everybody is dying. Every game is dying. If you think about it, there is a certain point where nobody plays a game anymore. Believe it or not, there are still people who play Battlefield 2. There are still people that play Battlefield Bad Company 1. There are still people that play games that are 15, 20 years old. So, I guess the reason that I say yes, the game is dying is because at a certain point, it'll get to a point where there aren't that many people that are playing a game anymore. Now, World of Warships is a massively multiplayer, it's a MOBA, right? Massive online battle arena, whatever you call it. So, it depends on a lot of people to play the game. Here's the thing that I want to call out, and I've put a few... I just did a quick Google search for World of Warships dying. Here's a thread from 2021. 2 years ago. Is 2021 the year that WoW's died? Some ideas to change the game. Oh, look! Change Deadeye is the first thing that's mentioned. Do we have Deadeye anymore? Nerf Thunderer. Do we have Thunderer nerfed? So, what's interesting is there are all sorts of threads out there of people saying the sky is falling and the game is over. Now, what you guys are most likely talking about are some recent stats that came out, like this. This is something that was shared with me about people that are playing the game. Now, this is all these charts are, showing all kinds of different things, right? But what's funny about them is data can share whatever you want data to share, and everybody gleans different information from data that's out there. It's one thing I hate about data. You show a graph, oh my god, look, there's data points to this happening. Is correlation causation? Now, many people who are trained in psychology, statistics, and stuff understand that just because you see one thing does not necessarily mean another. There are lots of externalities and other factors that come into play in regards to whatever's going on. So, I am going to tell you my personal position. Is the game dying? No. My personal position, the game is not dying. I will say that there are changes going on within the game. I would ask you to think for yourself, is the economy going to hell? Is the economy getting worse? That's almost the same kind of question as, is the game dying? There are people that believe that the economy is getting worse, and they will look to certain data and statistics to point out that, right? Recently, job loss, recently, inflation, recently, if you're in the United States, the Federal Reserve raising the interest rate. At the same time, let's look at some other factors, right? The economy is shifting. People are coming back to work. And frankly, there's a lot of money out there in the economy, which maybe is causing this kind of stuff. So I want to start off. You guys are asking me these questions. I'm answering my own perspective. And chat, please, again, feel free to disagree with me. I'm seeing a couple of people agreeing. Thank you much for the agreement. When you see these kinds of stats and charts, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. If you truly believe a game is dying, there's other reasons involved. ClassicLib, if you are here, Classic, I would very much love if you could join me in voice chat, if possible.
Well, while you're doing your hum, I'm just going to say I don't think the game per se is dying. I think it's in an unhealthy state, would be the way I would describe it.
Uh-huh.
But whenever I see any of these statistics, I just think of the old saying, statistics don't lie and liars use statistics.
So, we've got 2021, the year of death. We've got, is WoW's really dying? This is 5 months ago, guys. 5 months ago. This topic of wargaming dying, or warships dying, has been around for a long time. Right? Here we go. Here's another thread from 2 weeks ago, showcasing something. Here's a Flamu vid from 8 months ago, saying this is not a good sign. Right? And then here's Wargaming's official response to all the talk about warships dying. So what I can't believe about this is that this kind of topic keeps coming up. And I would say what we're running into now is the same thing that we ran into probably 2 months ago, or not 2 months, 2 years ago with the CV rework, right? We saw people say, to hell with this game, I'm out. Subs are seeing the same thing. Just like the economy goes through transition periods, World of Warships goes through transition periods too. And I really feel like we are currently in a transition period. And the problem now is that people are, unhappy about certain experiences. Most likely right now, it's subs. I saw some people chatting earlier in chat about shotgunning and stuff like that with subs. Having an impact on their overall enjoyment in the game. And I don't disagree with you. A submarine shotgunning a target is no different than a battleship full health deleting an enemy cruiser, a destroyer, a battleship, or a carrier. So, to me, I look at those kinds of situations and I think, okay, well, we've seen this before. And those kinds of moments are what comes out in Euro videos and other content that's out there on YouTube, right? That people go, oh my god, like even I will clip crazy moments like that. But what makes it different, right? I think what makes it different is we're talking about a new class of ship, submarines, that people don't quite frankly understand that well. And as a result, changes have to be made or have been made. Now, I want to take a moment and highlight this post from Wargaming. This, I'm a community contributor, guys. That means that I make content for World of Warships, right? I'm out there kind of on the front lines, if you will, with the player base, hanging out with people like Puddin, like Zimboto, right? And we're having fun, we're playing the game, we're streaming it, we're showcasing it, maybe convincing people to come log back into the game and play and have fun, because if I'm having fun, maybe they'll have fun. Or maybe selling a ship, right? Most recently Nottingham, because, hey, that's a premium ship and all that kind of stuff. So, the thing is, as a community contributor, right, I'm kind of vested. I've got that relationship with Wargaming. And I will say, when I saw this response from Wargaming, two things went off in my mind, right? One, thank God Wargaming is finally putting something out there. And two, Wargaming, what the hell? C-Raptor does a quarterly review of the game every 3 months. What is he noticing that the trends are with the game? Where are the numbers and that sort of thing? And the funny thing is that Raptor has been working to try to find ways to get more data to him, direct from the source, that he can use in those videos. But the problem is Wargaming knows they're kind of in a bad position, right? If you give too much data out, people can use that data against them or with them, depending on their situation. So they haven't been incredibly forthcoming with stuff. And
When are they
understandably
ever?
so. Well, again, understandably so. Here's an example of them becoming forthcoming, right? And showing a response. Can I zoom? Showing some response. And then Duckman lies. Lies and statistics, says Duckman in chat. You see the problem with them putting out information. I want you to take a look at this. Wargaming says, look at blah, 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 blah. Here's a graph, right? So we've got graphs here. This graph especially saying, oh my god, everybody's leaving the game, right? And then Wargaming says, oh look, here's a best fit line that shows we're okay. And then, you know, they break down to some of the different servers, and then you can use that, and they've got, you know, some boilerplate stuff and whatnot. And then look at the responses. All the responses take that data and say, to hell with you, because you haven't given us the data properly. Why? Because they, for one, haven't defined monthly active users. And two, there's no numbers on the side here, so we have no idea what the numbers are. All we can see is a best fit line trending upwards. So, the problem with this data, and by the way, the problem with this data, in my opinion, is the same damn thing. It's because there are so many other factors that go into people joining a game and leaving a game than simply, you know, subs, carrier release, carrier rework, commander rework, economy rework, etc., 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 etc. It's frustrating to me because when players look at this and are told, oh, the game is dying, go find another game to play, I mean, I think it's dumb. Now, this is based on last battle, account creation dates. One of the things that Wargaming did here is they factored out certain things that could have an impact on this, but they don't tell you that. And I don't even know if I can say what it is, so I'm not going to potentially break NDA. But what frustrates me is Wargaming tries to come out and put some information down, and then the player base continues to just crap all over them, or even bothering to put something out there. I think if you were to ask me personally, and Tara's, you asked me personally, is the game dying? I would say there are people that are becoming more and more frustrated with the game and that are quitting playing the game, or they are finishing the game earlier than they normally would. Earlier today, we had somebody do just that. As we were doing grind assist, he said, "I've had enough. I'm out." You're not capturing that in these statistics. You're also not capturing that in these statistics either. So, I think it's difficult for anybody to be able to look at this information and say the game is dying, the game is doing well, etc., etc. There are a couple of things that would help us. The one thing that I think would help us, Wargaming will never share this, of course, is how much money is Wargaming making, right? What has happened to revenue? Is revenue increasing or is revenue decreasing? And the thing about that, Wargaming, again, will never share that, but if revenue is increasing, does that mean the game is dying? From a long time ago, one of the things that Wargaming has shared with community contributors, like at the CC Summit and stuff, is that there are two major factors they look at. One, of course, is how much are people spending on this game. Two is how much are people playing this game. Because if people are playing this game, right, then they're populating the game. They're getting battles created, right? People aren't sitting in queue forever. That sort of deal. So they're looking for people to play the game. They're also looking for people to spend. Most of you guys know that I'm rather infamous in Warship circles for really not spending any money on this game. I've played this game since closed beta weekend. So we're talking 8 years ago right now. 8 years ago. Chat, does anybody have any idea how much money I have spent on this game? Put your guesses down.
Zero.
Zero is one guess.
What
Button knows
is
the
it,
answer.
20 bucks? I forget how much it cost, but I know exactly what you spent money on. And it didn't even go to the game, so I would actually
$100,
say 0.
318, 500, 1,000. I have every ship in this game. Let me drop this for a second. Let me drop the browser window, guys. I have every ship in the game. I have 643,808 doubloons, 44,500 free XPs, 1.7 billion credits, 110.7 million Elite Commander XP. Right? I've got over 500,000 steel. Right? I got almost 4 million coal. I've got every ship in the game. I've got Iwaki Alpha, Arkansas Beta, all the rare ships, etc., etc., etc. Where the heck is that? Is that in the captain's logbook, right? I don't care about this. I've got all that kind of stuff. Let's go to ships, right? Here we go. 257 out of 258. The only one I'm missing is a ship for, I think, Clan Super Test. I think that's it. Okay? I got all this stuff. How much have I spent in this game? $20. $20. This is my personal account, Yankee Jaeger. I barely ever play my press account because why bother? I'd rather play my main and get stuff. Even if I'm losing a bunch of games, I'm getting XP, I'm getting free XP, I'm getting credits, right? I'm getting progress towards missions, which might give me coal, steel, whatever. And I rarely ever play my press account. I've got all of this, guys, and I have spent a whopping $20 US, 20 US dollars. I gave Pigeon of War a fit when he discovered this, because he has the tools as had the tools as a wargaming employee to look the information up and pull that together. Okay, I have done all of this with spending all of $20 in the game. Most of you guys know my perspective when I play any sort of video game. How much can I get for free? And how much can I collect? That's what I'm doing. I'm collecting all this stuff. How is it possible, 10-piece Dark? It's possible because, one, way back when, 5 or so years ago, I was extremely active on the forums, and I participated in contests. Contests that Wargaming put out and contests that random players put out. Okay? That got me things. Guys, I have won 5, maybe 6 Tirpitzes. And when you win a Tirpitz a second time, of course, you get the extra, you get the port slot, you get the doubloons, you get the compensation. So, I'm what they would consider a very engaged player, right? I participate in Super Test with the Wiki Editor program. I'm a community contributor, right? All that good stuff. And that's helped me to get to the position where I'm at today, right? I spent $20, but I play a lot of the game. I did this before, and I'll show this to you guys right now. I've got 14,000 battles played over the course of 8 years. Remember, the battle count does not count Super Test ships and all that kind of stuff, right? So what I'm trying to say is that the idea that this game is dying, in my opinion, is stupid. Is absolutely stupid. As long as there are people like me who are happy to continue playing, then the game's fine. As long as there are people spending money on the game's fine. There are some issues I have with the game. Everybody does. But at the end of the day, I'm still here. I'm still streaming. I'm streaming World of Warships content. Y'all are watching me stream World of Warships content, right? There's a symbiotic relationship with me and World of Warships. If I wanted to say, F this game, I'm out, and do something else, I could. I could stream Raid Shadow Legends. I could stream Ace Combat 7, which I did a year ago. I could stream Mass Effect. I could stream another game, right? I'd have 20 of you watching. So, to me, I care heavily about this game. And to me, when I see people make content to try to point out that the game is dying, all I can do is laugh. All I can do is say, I can't believe that people are buying this. Because honestly, the dumbest thing that I've seen is people, shooting themselves in the foot. I went out there on the CC Discord and I said, guys, why are we trash talking this game? Especially, of course, if it has an impact on monetization. But more importantly, why are we doing something that's encouraging people to do something else? It's stupid. Some people love drama. Yeah, absolutely. Drama sells. Drama gets clicks. Drama gets people interested, right? No drama, people are like, whatever. You come to my stream, right? For the most part, there's no drama. For the most part, it's we're playing the game, we're having fun, we're doing grind assist, and we're losing games or winning games. Who cares, right? It's a game. It's a game. What's the point of a game? It's to have fun. It's to do something. It's to spend your time that is hopefully relaxing. I will say this. If you're not having fun in this game, don't play it. Play something else. Or find something else to do. Look at all the different modes that are available for players right now in this game. You can play Brawls at tier 10, Division up with some friends and wreck face, and not worry about your stats. You can play ranked battles, get some steel, not worry about your stats. You can play convoy mode and dunk on some convoys, not worry about stats. You can play co-op, grind up ships. I ground the Kansas and the Minnesota in co-op with a full secondary build, literally just hitting W, tabbing out. You can't do that so much anymore, probably because I bragged about it too much. Sorry, guys. But you can totally do that, right? You can play operations and div up with 6-7 other people, have some fun. There's so much out there in this game besides random battles. I would say this. I would say what's frustrating to me is the idea that any graph means anything. It really doesn't, right? Win rate versus division win rate. Whatever. Average win rate by random battles. Look, people have more experience, have a higher win rate. I'm shocked by this. Right? How many people play a certain number of random battles? I mean, guys, there are people that have been playing since forever ago that get tired of the game, move on to something else. I would ask you, what's wrong with that? There are people that join the game and get to tier 10 way too fast. Me, personally, I have a slight issue with that. And it's simply because what that does is it causes people to look at it and say, oh my god, my teammates. Right? This is why I don't run matchmaking monitor. Because to me, I look at the teammates and it's a sea of red. Red meaning 40% win rate or something like that. And it's easy to get frustrating. It's easy to doubt, to look at your teammates and say, oh, you are crap and blah, 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 uninstall. I said this to a certain player earlier today when we were doing grind assist. Look, you can argue about your team as much as you want, but ultimately it comes down to what you, the player, can do in the game. If you, the player, can't do enough to make the game work, then you need to think about what else you can do to make it work. There are games that there's simply no chance that you can win. And that happens to all of us, including me. I've got a 69% win rate, and I very much pride myself on that number 69, I'll tell you. But I've had that for years. It hasn't mattered. I said this before, I'll say it again. At a certain point, stats won't matter because you'll move on to another game. So if you're somebody who looks at stats, I have to have this win rate, I have to have this number, I have to have that number. At a certain point, you're going to stop playing Warships. It's just natural. You're going to play something else, and then you're going to go crazy about the stats in that game. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Come to this game, play the game, have fun. I would say that I think what Wargaming has discovered, and I don't know this for sure. But But I think what Wargaming discovered is that there are fewer people playing the game than before. Tinfoil hat, this is my thought. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised if the idea of saying, let's allow people to jump back into the game right afterwards is a result of Wargaming realizing that. Because if people jump into a game right away afterwards, that increases the number of people that are playing, right? So that's a possibility. The other thing is, we haven't seen money. The only thing that we can glean from money is, frankly, how many positions are open in Wargaming, right? If they are expanding, if they are growing, then I think that they are doing pretty well for themselves monetarily speaking, right? If they're shrinking, then that, to me, that's a sign that a company is struggling. I'm not seeing that with Wargaming. In fact, they're expanding, they're growing. They recently put a community manager job out for Europe, as well as another one for the Japan market. And I totally don't know this because I totally haven't applied to work for Wargaming. But I will say, a lot of people, and Diz, I like what you said. The game is unique. It's a lot of fun. We want this game to be better. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with players saying we want this game to improve. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I want this game to improve. I used to be so active on the forums. I used to be ridiculously active on the forums. As a matter of fact, I was one of those toxic a-holes that you guys probably don't like anymore because, frankly, that's all I knew. And I hate to say it, but I'm one of the people that suggested the Save a Star mechanic in Ranked. And maybe I'm the reason that Save a Star mechanic became a thing. I don't know. Was I right in that suggestion? Was I wrong in that suggestion? There's plenty of people that will tell you either way. Plenty of people will tell you either way. But at the end of the day is I'm still here. At the end of the day, we are still having fun playing this game. In this day, many of you guys are here watching because you want drops, because you enjoy the game, because you just want to hang out. Right? That's where we're at. I got somebody asking, hey, is Nottingham worth spending $100 on? And somebody in chat saying, no ship is worth $100. Dude, hey, I spent 20 on this game. I agree with you. No ship is worth $100, right? Sure. Do you... Will having Nottingham impact your gameplay whatsoever? No. And that's the case for any other game. I saw somebody earlier mentioning, and I apologize for not calling it out, you have to look at the competition. What competition is there for Wargaming that says, you know, whatever? There's other competition out there, frankly, they're struggling too. So, again, I don't think it's simply players that are just playing this game saying, to heck with this, I'm out. Yes, there's other games out there. Exactly, Terrace. Those games have either stopped themselves, like the developers have stopped, like in the case of that game, or in the case of a certain other competitor, they made a huge change, sweeping change, that has royally pissed off the player base. Far more so than I think we've ever seen in World of Warships. And that's interesting to see. So, chat says, cutting dubs and premium time in simultaneous can mean that the money spent per player is too low. Also, why we keep seeing new ship after new ship shiny thing to keep players spending. Texas? Sure. Look, as far as the super container thing is, I was kind of frustrated that they did that too. However, Wargaming, I think, is in a position. I think Wargaming is so stuck in a position where they have allowed too much out there, and they've had to rein things in. They've tried to find creative ways to do that, right? One was auctions, and people looked at, oh, how dare you, Wargaming, make me spend credits, free XP, doubloons, premium time, etc., etc. Well, their notice is that players have a glutton of that kind of resources, right? To the point where they want to try to bleed those resources. I don't have a problem with that. Everything. I have a bit of a economics background, right? And so I will say this: everything is worth what people are willing to pay for it. If people are willing to put a ton of credits into an auction, cool, it's worth it to them, right? Getting a whatever. Same thing with doubloons, etc., etc. So I would say, we're in a situation where it could be a lot worse over here, but at the same time, the things that Wargaming is doing have absolutely no impact on me as a player. I mean, subs are annoying and frustrating, sure, to play against. Frankly, they are annoying and frustrating to play as. But at the same time, there's still plenty of tech tree ships. There are plenty of ships that you can get for free for steel or coal or research bureau points, whatever. That it gives people carrots to keep playing, and it's stuff that's out there for people, to enjoy. You don't need everything in this game. I'm just putting that out there. You don't need everything in this game in order to do well. Look at King of the Sea. This last time playing King of the Sea, everybody got press accounts, 21-point captains with particular ships. Just putting that out there. There was that playing field is extremely level, right? Clan battles. You can play clan battles with plenty of stuff, and if you don't have certain things, there's rental ships that go with it as well. So to me, I feel like there's a lot of worse things that could happen to this game. Do I have a direct line to Wargaming? I do. As a community contributor, I do have the ability to communicate with them directly. Now, whether or not they take that feedback is here or there. I'd like to hope that they listen to me, but I think that the problem that a lot of people don't realize is players may think they are right on something, and then it turns out to be false. A case in point, the Save-A-Star system in Ranked. There's a lot of people that say the Save-A-Star system is terrible in Ranked. Why was it ever implemented? It just makes players blah, 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 blah. Frankly, it makes me feel better when I play Ranked, and I don't lose my star because I did quite well XP-wise. Does that mean that I farmed damage? Maybe. But again, that's the problem. Me as a player, I think I know something. Other people as players think they know something. Who's right? I don't know. So I think Wargaming's in a position where, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I would say you all are here because of your relationship with this game at some point, right? In some way, shape, or form. Maybe you're here because you like the game, you just don't enjoy playing it anymore. Hey, you are still here. Some of you are here because you want to learn to play the game better, and you want to get my feedback. You're still here. Some of you are here because you want to get warships drops. What are you doing getting a drop for a game if you don't intend to play it anymore? You're still here. So I think the important thing for everybody to understand is that everybody has a chance to impact this game. Everybody has a chance to have an impact, whether that's positive or negative. I should scream like a certain other person and get 1,000 views. I totally could. Your choice is to, the sky is falling. Players are leaving the game. Right? Players are leaving the game. You've got the opportunity to do this. You've also got the opportunity to be a force for good. One thing that I really enjoy playing with, I think it was Wolf's Wet Paws, is if he dies and, it's to a great shot by an enemy, he'll go and outright say, "Damn, dude, that was a good shot." What I think is really cool about that is you're reinforcing something awesome. Simboto did that earlier in his Belfast when he got dev struck by that Veneto in that last game he played. He said, dude, enjoy the XP gains. Like, there you go, right? So I think a large thing about this game is you all have the ability to impact this game. You do. Whether it's logging in and playing games or not, that's a choice that you make and that impacts the game. Your interaction with people in-game have an impact as well. So, you guys can choose what's happening. The power is yours and yours alone, for those of you who love the Legends of the Hidden Temple. But honestly, if you believe the game is dying, then either leave or try to make it different. In a nutshell, that's what I would say. Some people might feel like they spent a lot of money in this game, and because of that, they're invested in it. They have to keep playing it. At a certain point, this money that you have spent in this game will return no additional dividends. I think the idea is wrong to say I've put $3, $5, $11, $10, $20,000 in this game. I have to keep playing. That's that whole sunk cost fallacy, and I think that's terrible. If a game is something you enjoy and you feel it deserves the money, it's like tipping somebody. Put your money in. When you tip somebody, you're never going to see that money again, and you're not going to get any benefit from them from that. So I would say change your mindset around and look at this as I'm tipping Wargaming. I like what they do. I want to put money in to show them to keep doing it. If you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, don't spend the money.
So, Lord Zath, may I weigh in on this a little bit?
Nifty, go ahead, please. This isn't just me talking this whole time. I'm happy to allow other people to jump in.
Yeah, so I'm in a kind of privileged position because I'm in a giant community, so I get to see a lot of the inner workings of, problems that players have. A lot of people come to me to talk to them about the issues with the game and stuff like that. And regardless, if somebody comes to me with whatever reason and they tell me I'm not having fun anymore because of this reason, because of that reason, I always tell them maybe you just need to take a break, because this is a game at the end of the day. And if you aren't having fun, well, then there's a problem, because it's a game. You know what I mean? So I've had many players take a break, for a week, a month. And yes, some players do leave and they don't come back. But in the mass majority, in my experience, players will take a break for a month or what have you, and they come back, because there's no other games that are quite like this. It's got a really high learning curve. You will never stop learning in the game. That's one of the huge draws for me personally. I love playing games where I don't feel like I'm ever hitting that max. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And frankly, a lot of these players that are still playing will still throw down hundreds of dollars for like one person. I'm talking about will throw down hundreds of dollars when they see something in the game they like. So the game is definitely still making money. A lot of these players are coming back because of the unique experience, because of the community and stuff like that. And I think that's something that I don't hear people talking about at all. Is like, oh, all these players leaving. Well, okay, like a lot of them are coming back in a few weeks. Don't worry, you know what I mean? Like a lot of them just come back because they like the game.
Right. This isn't one of those things. This isn't like you see the stock of a certain company falling and therefore, oh my god, I need to run away. This is going to be here for a long time. And I know there's a lot of people that look at World of Tanks and say people said the same thing about tanks. World of Warplanes. I mean, I jumped in on Warplanes 2.0 and tried it out, and I'm like, it's not for me. And I stopped playing. That's okay. Warships is one of those few games that has caught and held my attention for an extremely long time. And that should say something to the quality of the game that they created, as Nifty mentioned. And frankly, if it wasn't for that passion in the game, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys streaming the game. I certainly wouldn't be seriously looking at, applications and job opportunities with them. To me, this is something truly special. And, when I stream, I consider myself doing my part to show a positive impact of this game for me personally, and for other people that are coming and hanging out. Now, some people might call me shills for that. I really don't care, because to me, I highlighted this earlier, as Nifty said. I mean, there's so many different game types out there. You could always take a break from something and work on something else instead. You can put other goals out there and play with it. Classic, you are here. I asked you to join in the voice. I didn't realize you jumped in. Can I ask you a question, sir? Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. For you, Classic, why don't you play this game anymore?
Well, I'll try to keep the answer short, but essentially it was just a buildup of various things. No one thing, no two things drove me to that decision.
Uh-huh.
I just got tired of all of the little things that were, happening every time I would log in and play a game.
Mm-hmm.
Subs, CVs. I consider myself a decent player, and I spend a lot of time, effort, and money. I've spent a lot of money on this game to get to a certain level, and that was part of my draw to this game. Was I could see myself measurably getting better. I could change something up. I could learn a different mechanic. I could watch you or send my replays into you, and I was visibly, improving my game, and that gave me a lot of joy. That's just one other piece of it. I found myself. I wasn't even plateauing there. I was getting better. I think I can call myself a Unican DD player at this point. But as a DD player, there were so many things that just drove me crazy, and I found myself on balance being more unhappy than happy while playing the game. And I realized a lot of it was me. I realized a lot of it was, the result of what Wargaming was doing. And, while I can be critical of them, their business, they're trying to do what they can to make their business survive. And so it's an evolution of the game for them. So one of the things, again, one of the little things that bothered me was the quality of play over time. I felt declined to where if I wasn't in there with friends, if I was trying to play solo, I just did not have a good time. And that was almost all the time when I was within a division. A lot of times I could work on a focus part of the game that says I'm helping my buddies and they're helping me, and we're going off, and win or lose, we had some amount of fun. But over time that just kind of eroded. So I'm in the point right now where I plan to at some point get back into the game, but it's got to be a different space in my head for the reasons I'm playing than what it was before.
And that's fair. Cthulhu, by the way, Classic is 200%. I've maxed his volume.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. But I mean, and so the reason I'm asking Classic is because I know Classic. We've met in person. We've talked about the game and other stuff, right? And what I think is really cool is, to you, the game is, you said, frustrating to a certain point. You're not having fun anymore, so you stop playing. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But yet you're still here. You are still hanging out. You're still, like you said, you're looking at some of the replays I do, kind of learning, even though you're not playing the game. You're still you still have that relationship with the game. And I think that is so cool because it's not just about, you know, you're a player or you're not. There's so much else that's out there, um, you know, that as a player is keeping you engaged. And okay, so you're not spending money in World of Warships. Who the hell cares? You're still enjoying, you know, something along with the game, right?
Yeah, the community's great, and that's a large part of why I'm still here. The friendships I've gained and I've maintained over time is worth something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you know, there are certain streams I watch, you know, quote unquote religious, and there are other streams I'll tune in if there's nothing else on,
Mm,
that I've just, you know, followed over the years. But
sure.
I've I enjoy the community. I enjoy some of the people, and that that hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that's the part that a lot of people are missing in this game is, you know, you've got the relationships that you've built with other people, whether that be with a streamer, a friend, an acquaintance. I think it speaks volumes to the fact that you're still here, that you are still watching, you're still hanging out, and enjoying it.
So I'm still here because you're still here. I mean, that's one data point. Really, I mean, it's really one data point. But I'm not playing the game anymore. Largely, I mean, a large part of it is because all the people that I played the game with before uh, got tired of it before I did.
Ah, so you're one of the last of the Mohicans, kind of.
Well, in my community of players, yeah.
Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course. So for you, then, you're kind of like, well, what's the point of playing if I don't know anybody that's still playing, right?
Right. Most, I mean, that's part of it, of course, but it's not all of it.
Of course. But you know, that makes total sense to me, and I totally get it. And I think that's the important thing for people to understand is, you know, when we're talking about is the game dying or classic is, I think, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whenever you decide you want to come back into the game and play again, it's there for you, right?
Well, I hope so. If I decide to, yes, of course.
Exactly. And I think that's the part that people aren't recognizing. So it really bothers me when people say this game is dying. What the heck are you doing? What, you know, we're gonna move on to other games, etc., etc., etc. Because frankly, guys, this game's gonna be around. The impact, the difference is that when you look at the way the game is now, if you're unhappy about something now, things will change in the future. Things can be changed in terms of the game itself or in terms of the player base. You know, there's a lot of people that are unhappy about subs. I get it. I'm not happy about being shotgunned either. But at the same time, there are players that are playing the ship that don't understand the ship either. Case in point, that battle on Neighbors and my Sharnhorse when I told my sub, dude, use submarine surveillance because you would auto spot the enemy sub and I can kill it. He had no idea how that worked or that was even a thing. Over time, people will learn the game. Over time, people will be able to handle various different nuances to the game to the point where it's not a big deal anymore. You know? There are some things that will always be a big deal, but there are some things that I really think aren't going to be an issue. So I would say to anybody watching, and most of you guys watching, of course, are engaged players to a certain level, right? Whether you're here or you're not, doesn't matter. You are engaged as a player in World of Warships. And what's really cool about it is this game is going to last. This game is going to endure. This game does something that is unique in the space of naval combat games. And until something comes up that is truly better and greater than what we have right now, this is what we have. And frankly, I'm okay with that because I enjoy the hell out of this game. I enjoy the hell out of the people behind this game. Granted, there are a few that maybe I disagree with. But for the most part, I feel as a player, as a community contributor, this is a game that I can log into, find some people to play with, and just go bust up some ships. And if I lose, if I get killed, eh, eh, whatever. Doesn't matter to me.
So I wanted to hit on something you mentioned before about the matchmaker and kind of like a mentality thing that I see a lot. So first off, hopefully everybody knows at this point that sometimes the matchmaker gives you games you are meant to win statistically, and sometimes matchmaker gives you games you are meant to lose statistically.
Oh, God,
and a
no.
lot of players, the better the player is, actually not even necessarily the better the player is, but look, a lot of players have an entitlement to the win. Oh, I got a Kraken. Oh, I got 200,000 damage. Where was my team? What happened? Why did we still lose? Yada, yada, yada. Look, you are not entitled to a victory just because you did well. Okay? That's a huge thing I see from a lot of players. It doesn't matter how good you are, some games you're going to lose. You need to just accept that because you're playing with dozens of other players on the same field that you have virtually no control over. So
No, yeah, you're absolutely
the
correct.
entitlement of the win thing is something I see all the time, and it just gives me a chuckle because look, some games you're meant to lose and you just have to kind of accept that and get over it. Play another one. Maybe Matchmaker will give you a gimme the next one. You just don't know until you hit the battle button. But don't feel entitled to like, oh, I did well, so we should have won.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I'm
Because that's
going
just not how the game works.
I'm going to jump in here and disagree with you just slightly.
Go for it. Go for
And
it.
that is that I do feel entitled to win. And I had one of the guys I played with is another streamer, and he would get into these games, look at Matchmaker, and say, "Oh, this is a loss," and I'd get angry. I would say, "No, this doesn't have to be a loss," and I would take particular joy in winning that game.
Absolutely.
So, I would tell him, I says, whoever does more stupid things is likely to lose this game than what the matchmaker is showing. I said, there's a lot of things that contribute to a loss, but there's also a lot of things that contribute to a win. Let's be that thing that contributes to being a win.
Yeah, why not?
And I agree with that, too, because, I mean, even though the statistics may tell you, hey, your team only has a 30% chance to win this game, well, guess what? That doesn't mean it's not beatable. You could still win that game under certain circumstances, absolutely. So you should still always give it your all, always play as a team player, always utilize really good communication if you can. Like, these are things I take very seriously when I play. I'm pinging people, I'm pinging targets, I'm telling people to get back if I think they're entering a dangerous area. I utilize as much communication as I always can because sometimes just that communication will make a really big difference. But like I said, you can't control how people play, so that's something you just shouldn't be too arsed about. Especially because the learning curve is so high. It's so high. There's so many ships in the game. There's so much knowledge that you have to have to really be a good player. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. And I think that should be respected as well. But you're right. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose that game when the matchmaker puts the chips against you.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I want to highlight something that Nunez El Capitan said, which is what blows my mind the most, is that the content creator that spends every single video or stream just being so angry at the game, and you're like, why do I still play? This can't be good for you or your health. There's a reason for that, Nunez, and that is money. People that are like that are doing it to get money. But watch them they get money. People click on their videos, they get money. That's it. And so I think that the struggle is, when it comes to this game, you know, you have to make a determination as a player what you're going to spend your attention on. If I could take a moment and just segue into a game that I play on the side that some of you guys know I'm horribly addicted to, my wife certainly knows, is a game called Raid Shadow Legends. And I've got people that are like, dude, did you check out this guy's video on this? Did you look at this upcoming Fusion champion? Oh my god, what are they doing with this and what are you doing with that? When I look at that kind, I don't have the time anymore because I am doing streams, I'm doing replay analysis, I'm cutting those streams up and putting them on YouTube. Diablo, sure. I don't have time on that kind of stuff anymore. I really don't. I don't. Which frustrates me to a certain level because I love to be engaged and follow that kind of stuff. I also, by the way, don't look at World of Warships videos and what they post anymore. I wish I could, but I don't. Part of that is because no more Dasha, and we all love Dasha, of course. But anyways, you know, what ultimately comes down to this is, if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to log it at the very least, right? You're going to collect your login bonus. You're going to play a game or two. You're going to watch videos and content. You're going to watch streams like this stream. And if that's the case, great. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. If you're not, okay. That's okay too. Nobody holds a gun to your head and says you must spend money in this game. Nobody holds a gun to your head and says you must play this game and log in. So ultimately, the game is what you make of it. Go have fun. Go make it something enjoyable. Go find positivity in what you're doing. Because if this is a game that's supposed to be fun, if this is supposed to be relaxing, then why are you making it ruin your day? That doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense to me. You know? Make it something that's out there for positivity. Classic, you said it's not having fun, but at some point, Classic, you plan to come back. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't mind me putting you on the spot, because this is unscripted, as most of you guys know, with Zath chats, I don't have time to put things together, and I apologize for that. It's lazy of me, but at the same time, I don't have time. So, Classic, what makes you come back into this game, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm still interested in elements of the game that I enjoyed. So I've got to figure out a way to make that enjoyment greater than the dislike of the things that frustrate me.
Okay.
So that's a headspace thing. And so that's what I'm working on.
Can you please be a little bit more specific? Because what you just said is very general. Can you dive deeper into that?
I have to not care about what's going on with other players, for one thing.
Okay.
So it's easy to watch somebody do stupid things and get frustrated at them.
Yes.
But one of the things I kind of compensated with over time, but it just didn't stop working. It just didn't work as well as it should have, which is, who's that player behind that ship? Is this some 80-year-old guy that can't see very well, has no reflexes, is just in there to pew-pew?
Mm-hmm.
I can't feel bad about that guy. He's got every right to play as much as I do, and so that's kind of how I compensated for a long time. And
Sure.
But at the same time, it was like, all right, my enjoyment was still being impacted by poor decisions from other players. So
Yeah.
I recognized that as a failure on largely my own part, and so, like I said, until I can get my head right again about those kinds of things and reset my mind around how I can find enjoyment in the game, and kind of turn off those things that I don't enjoy.
Sure.
So something you mentioned was like, you don't know how old the players you're playing against, what their circumstances are, and I will say, as a as a clan commander that trains people for clan battles. I'm saying like first time clan battles. They're just entering, never played before. I'm teaching them the ropes. I'm teaching them how calls work, how strategy works and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I have had many people in my clan, veterans, people with disabilities, what have you, that tell me like, hey, I have problems with my hands. I have problems with this. I have problems with that. These maneuvers are really hard for me. I find it hard to do this and that. And you're absolutely right. Is that the player base for World of Warships is a little older, right? And that's reality. That some people you really never know if you're playing against a person with a disability or arthritis, or maybe they have one arm. You don't know. You know what I mean? So that's something that should be taken into account a little more by, I think, a lot of people.
I think one of my... Go ahead, Puddin.
I was going to say before you say something,
Please,
this is
go ahead.
coming from somebody who, I have double your amount of battles at?
You do, yes.
Like I have 31,000 random battles, just to give people an idea. When it comes to this game, I've been there, done that, right? I've tried to help clans who've never done clan battles. I've tried to help players that are just learning the game, and I've played with literally everybody in the game as far as skill-wise, to the god-awful I can't see the screen, to they don't know left from right, to super unicums that like have done cots, won cots. I know I've done like supremacy, so like been there, done that. I think what Classic's thing is, if you're playing this game and your main enjoyment is interaction with other people, divvying up, join a clan. Right?
Oh,
There are plenty of clans.
I need to. Well, I own the clan, and pretty much all of them are gone. That's part of it. So, I started a clan, and we had a lot of great players, a lot of great. I made a lot of great friends who are still. I'm still friends with a lot of them. So, so yeah, I would have to give up my own clan, and that's kind of one of those things I don't know that I'm ever going to be ready to do. There's still people out there in my clan that are playing that don't div and they play occasionally. I don't know. It's sentimental more than anything, but
well, like if you don't want to give up your clan, there's always the merging system, or you could just play with other people from different clans. I do it all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I've done that as well. I've done some of that.
Right, but like, I remember this game is dying when radar was introduced, because a battleship could literally sit in smoke and shoot something 3 kilometers and yeet it off the face of the planet
and not be spotted.
There was nothing anybody could do. Right? I've played with people with disabilities. I know Zath knows who 3FM is. Guy only has 3 fingers. And he played RTS carrier.
Yes, he did. He was very good at it, too.
Right? We would go out and troll people. I would take a full spec AA Montana. We would go up against Femme, which I think most people here know, and she would leave us alone because she knew what we were doing.
Yep.
Right?
So,
like, this game's not dying. When I say I think this game is unhealthy, is because of all the stupid stuff you see in chat.
Yeah.
Of these, we'll say, less than skilled players telling somebody who knows who knows how to play the game, what to do in the worst possible language possible, and then it just turns into a huge fight of who can lick the window the hardest. Right?
I mean, I think, yeah.
And instead of the better players taking the higher road and reaching out to these people and trying to explain or get them to understand, like, you're always going to run into the person of F you, I'm going to do whatever I want and there's nothing you can do. But there are so many more players that actually do want to learn, and nobody
Yep.
takes the damn time to do it. If you go to the forums, and I think this is the stupidest thing, because I used to believe this too. Oh my God, I got to have purple tags. Right? You go
Oh,
on the forums,
oh my
and
God.
somebody says something, and you will see responses. You don't have purple tags, you have no clue what you're talking about.
I mean, I
That is
agree
the
with you, Puddin'.
dumbest argument on the planet.
Look, guys, I will say this: if you really do feel that Warships is dying, go to a player event. I don't care where you are in the world. Go to a player gathering. If you're in North America, that's an Anchors Away event, right? There's the Iowa coming up in June. We've had a couple events recently. Some of you may have seen me on the Lexington. I know somebody said they saw me at the Anchors Way Anaheim a couple years ago. But go to a player gathering because you start to understand who plays this game. And you realize it's not the same people as you. That's a bit of a shocker. It's a bit of a I would say it's a bit of a pill to swallow for some people. I remember there was one I think it was Anchors Away Anaheim. There was a father who was playing the game and he let his daughter, 12-year-old, 10-year-old, I don't care how old she was, play the game and have fun. And he's sitting there looking over his shoulder just saying, no, do this, you know. Like, what's wrong with that? There was another, father-son combo that were playing the game and having fun. And until you recognize the people involved, the people behind the user name that you were interacting with, you simply don't understand who's out there. And I think that's important. I've been very fortunate with doing my replays analysis where I've had people jump in and hang out and give me some information. Gaelic Knight is a great example. He's a lefty. I think he's only got 2 fingers to use on one of his hands. I don't remember which. And, you know, when you understand that, okay, cool. I don't need to focus on use of shift zoom versus scroll zoom, right? There's more things out there for him to understand. And it gives me an opportunity to really focus on that. But, I mean, unless somebody tells me, I don't know their whole background. I don't know everything. So, when I approach players these days, yeah, I might say, oh man, you're not doing what you should be doing. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and crucify them for that. I'm just going to say, well, okay, what can I do to offset what they are doing or not doing? And that's it.
So I also wanted to say that, look, like seeing players make mistakes, a lot of people learn by punishing themselves when they make a mistake, right? Like,
Yes.
oh crap, I went broadside, I got deleted, I'm upset with myself, how could I have screwed up like that, right? And they allow that kind of, that teaching method to bleed into how they treat other players when they make mistakes. But,
Uh-huh.
so I think that's kind of a folly, and I will definitely say that if you had a good game, if you
Mhm.
played well and you were on your game, win or lose, if I know I was on my game and I had a good game, win or lose, I'm happy. I'm
Mhm.
happy. And I will say, I don't play for stats. I play for the win. Every game. Every game. I'm not playing for damage. I'm not playing for this, that, or whatever. I want to see the W at the end of the match. If I see the W at the
Right.
end of the match, awesome. Cool. Like, I
Right.
feel like I earned that victory. But if I don't see the W, and I still did well, I'm still happy with it. Because at least
Absolutely.
I know I performed. I did my part. I did well. I did what I could to turn the tides that game. It doesn't always work, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I know I did my part. So that's what I try to do to not get so, like, salty. You know what I mean?
See, I think it's funny is I play for the win until I see the loss, and then I play for my stats.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think the difference though is the better players can see it quicker. right? Like what's going to happen, what you need to do to try to get the win, if it's going to work, if it's not going to work, if players are willing to help each other. But like, it's funny because even if, because I play way more solo than I do divs. If
You
I need
do.
another battleship to help me do something, and he's unwilling to shoot anything else, like, oh, he's just so focused on this battleship that punished him. But yet we need this cruiser dead, or we need to push.
Mhm.
The way you get them to help is kill the thing he's trying to kill, because guess what? Now he's free to do what you need him to do or want to do. There are ways to get players to do things you want them to do without them even knowing it. It's just recognizing the situation. And like, I think it's funny. I never thought of it like this, but somebody brought this point up is, people's way of thinking. Like, everyone's complaining about carriers and subs. Well, sorry, carriers have been in there for day one. My attitude is get over it. But somebody brought up the point of, how do you balance an aircraft carrier and even a submarine when they are designed in real life not to be balanced? They are designed to be the most powerful, overpowered thing on the freaking planet. How do you balance that in a game? There's a reason nobody makes battleships anymore.
And you're absolutely correct. So, I mean, we've been talking for almost an hour. Guys, look, like I said, game's not dying. Far from it, in my opinion. It's going to be along for quite a long time. You're going to see me, at the very least, streaming it for the duration. I don't see a situation in which I walk away from it and do something else. I mean, just because I enjoy a certain game doesn't mean that I will stream it necessarily. But I think it's one of the times when I think you as the player need to decide, is it worth it for you to play in terms of time and in terms of money? And if it's not, okay, that's fine. Do something else. Try something else in the game. Find a way to have fun. And, if you come back, great. If you don't, okay. Most of you watching this video, especially later when it comes out to YouTube, you are here because you have some form of enjoyment or relationship with this game. And that's it. And, my goal as a community contributor is not to sway you, to encourage you to play the game or spend money. My role as a community contributor is to, I would say, talk about the current situation of the game, like my Zath chats, to help players do whatever it is they're trying to do, try to assist, or replay analysis. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. So I'm going to be here one way or another, and I appreciate you guys choosing your time to come and hang out with me. And I'd very much love, if you've watched this, again, I'm probably going to put this up on YouTube. If you've watched this to this point, I'd very much love to hear what your thought is of the matter when this gets out on YouTube, because I think it's important to have these kinds of discussions. I think it's important to not feel like you can't say something, because you absolutely can.
May I say one more thing, Zath?
No, you can't.
Damn it.
Done. Out. Get out of here. You're banned.
So, two things really quick. First, don't hate the player, hate the game. You have no idea who's behind that screen, and it's not their fault that the class they're playing is a little overpowered, right?
Okay.
The second thing is, if there's something you do not like seeing in the game, take a survey. They do surveys. There's one out for 12.4 right now. At the end, there's a little comment section. Would you like to add more? If there's something you don't like that wasn't in that survey, mention it. If there's something you'd like to change, mention it. Like, take the surveys. They actually read the surveys, guys. Like, if you post in game, like, hey, you stink. I hate that class. They don't care about that, but they do care about the surveys.
Exactly.